Okay, thank you for joining me. This is the spine stretch that we are working on in class. And this spine stretch is very important. We get a lot of space, we find a lot of space, we actually create space in between each vertebrae to actually become free so that the spinal fluid can pump up from the feet, from the spine, and then up and down to the brain. So this is very important. It's really good for the spine. So if you take one of your hands and you feel your lower back, uh, and we want this to be eventually the muscles and everything in the back to become very free and almost like jelly. The shoulders eventually start to become free and actually start to feel like the soft tissue in the backs of the shoulders. It's like butter or jelly. So that's what we're going for. It takes practice. Takes a long time for everything to melt and loosen. But that's why we do the qigongs and everything else, the body openings and loosenings um, to get things kind of jello-y and buttery. So the spine stretch, this is an abbreviated version. So I want you to find a base of support. I kind of want you to put your feet a little bit further out um, and just loosen. Don't do anything with the shoulders. Just kind of flop them and have them be free. And what I want you to do is kind of put your tailbone and to really focus on the hip hinge in the lower back. Put your mind in the lower back and just start to free the neck and just tilt the chin and start to go down and just release any tension, any holding, any clinging in the lower back. Very slowly, kind of hang out there. See how free the shoulders are. Go back and forth, wave. Up and down, left and right. And slowly melt back up from the bottom, basically from where the wall is at your bum. And the idea is that we have this hip hinge, and we need this hip hinge to bend over, but it also provides flexibility, for our body, for our spine. And anytime we don't want power or tension to get stuck in our hips and in our lower back. And a lot of people complain about back problems because um, their their hip hinge isn't. Um, they're not really aware of where their hip hinge is. They're trying to function too much from the upper body, um, and that hinge actually raises to the back or the lower back, and the hinge is actually our hips. And so we start to release the lower back and release the back, so that power can actually get through it, conduct through it, and our bodies start to. And the more you practice, it starts to actually function normally. So if you imagine like a door hinge, a door kind of swings out, and that hinge um, joint is able to move freely, and that's what our hips do for our spine and our back. So normally we would do it standing up in our Tai Chi posture, and we'd stretch out and lower into the calves and the thighs, and lower the head and melt down through the back, releasing the back. And if you can do it that way, if you're a little younger or if you haven't had injuries, I would recommend doing it that way. The gravity is going to help to melt through the muscle tissue, the soft tissue, and the fluids will start to actually kind of pour down through the body to help to melt through that tension down to the feet. If you can't, that's why I made an abbreviated version. So just put your feet out, we'll do it together, and have your bum on and tailbone on the wall for support. Find a wall and just stretch out, for balance, and just start to stretch down. So let's say a lot of people can only get to here. That's fine. Hang out there for a little bit and to start to melt through, relax, and release any tension from any areas that it feels tense, and just come back up after you're done. And then try to go, let's say you've released a little bit in the lower back. Try to find if you can go a little bit more. Don't do it to the point of like you're screaming or you're hurting, but just try to, what I say to my students, ease into it a little bit more each time. Kind of like, you're basically working apart, or it's kind of like an elastic band that hasn't been stretched in a long time. You just stretch it a little bit and then go back and then stretch it a little bit more and then stretch it a little bit more. You don't want to try to force it, if something's going to happen maybe, or it's going to be too much pain. So just do a little bit every time, you know. It's kind of pouring a little bit more water in a container. So stretch out, seat your bum on the wall, and just melt your lower back and just come down. Leave your chin down, tuck your. So you should actually be able to see the wall behind you. Let your neck go. Let your neck be free. And roll up from the bottom of the spine, saying hello to each vertebrae and just kind of opening the space between each vertebrae until you're basically upright. Okay? So work on that through the week. And then I'll film part 2, some supplementary, like super easy, kind of simpler hip opening exercises. Okay. Thank you. Bye.